And welcome back to another episode of the Baptist Prep Football Coaches Show. So now we have played our first preseason game, which we will dive into here in just one sec, right after this little break.
Welcome to the Eagle Coaches Show on the Baptist Prep Sports Network, where we give you a behind-the-scenes look into everything Baptist Prep athletics. Now, let's get right into the show.
As we kind of dive into this episode, first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for watching that last episode. Hopefully on the way to the game, which ended up being a really, really fun night for us, for junior high, 7th, 8th, and 9th, and 10th, 11th, and 12th, and our coaching staff. It was fun to finally play somebody else. So we were super stoked about that. But, Coach, as the head coach of our junior high team that came out and looked really, really good, kind of give us your thoughts on everything, and kind of how obviously that game didn't count, but where do we stand at this moment?
Yeah, really, man. That was just the entire day was a fun day for us. With our 9th through 12th graders, they got to come up here, actually in this studio where we're at filming this, and brought in a professional photographer who took some awesome pictures to showcase our kids. And so before we get into the game, Coach, I know one thing when I got the job and I was kind of asking questions about the program here, you kind of had talked to me a little bit about how you like not only to start fall camp at War Memorial and why you do that, but you also said, and I noticed on your scheduling last 2 years, you've always played your benefit game in a college stadium. I know your first year here, you guys played at Hendricks,
Yep.
And then last year you were at OBU, and then, of course, this year you're at Arkansas Tech. So, man, just kind of tell the listeners maybe your thought process behind that, why you do that, and where you might have got that idea from.
Yeah, absolutely. It was something that I feel like we kind of developed going into my first year. There was a lot of, coming off of tough times, to be quite frank.
Yeah.
And so we had to do something with our guys that was, what is something that we can start the mental side of overcoming this, overcoming the last few years of being down a little bit, and what is something that we could do to promote the championship mindset that we wanted to bring.
Absolutely.
And so one thing we always do every year is on the first day of fall camp, we practice at War Memorial Stadium because that's where they play the state championship game. And so I'm not afraid to say it. I know when we did it the first time, there were probably some laughs and some chuckles and people who were like, yeah, keep dreaming,
Yeah.
And it is what it is. Sorry if you just heard the bell, but we're going to carry on. It is what it is. And, yeah, there are times where I probably said some things, and you may still think that.
Yeah.
I say a lot of things that seem maybe unattainable to some, but and 2 years ago probably were unattainable, but there are things that you have to do to kind of build that mindset. So the reason we practice every year at War Memorial Stadium on the first day of fall camp is because we want to start the season there at fall camp, and we want to end the season there in the state championship every single year. That should be the goal. That's why we have a nice new scoreboard, and everywhere we go has a scoreboard because they keep it. They keep score, and somebody's going to make it. And as much as football or the lessons that football teaches, they do keep score at the end of the day. And I want to be on the team that does it the right way, but also comes away with the victory.
Yeah.
And we want to push our guys to that every single day. And that's not something that I'll shy away from. Like I said, it may sound outlandish or it may sound crazy. At the same time, why play if you don't want to win championships?
That's right.
I know we do, and I love our team, and I want them to desire that, and I want to give them the confidence and the belief that our coaching staff has in them to try and instill that a little further. So that's why we always practice at War Memorial to start fall camp, and one of these days we're going to start the season there, and we're going to end the season there as well.
That's
and
right.
I hope it's sooner rather than later, but it will happen.
Yeah.
And then we play all of our benefit games at college stadiums because, it's just a stat, a fact, I guess, more than a stat. Not all of our kids are going to go play college football.
Yep.
And some will, and that's great. And that's not something to be embarrassed about either. It's just it's the nature of the beast. Some guys are going to go do it at the next level, and some are not. And so we want to give all of our guys well-rounded experience. We want to give all of our guys, something that they can be like, oh, I've played there. A great experience. Most of our guys will never play in a college football stadium, and so why not use our preseason game to give them an experience they've never had before.
Sure.
And so, we played at Hendricks 2 years ago. We played at Ouachita last year. We played at Arkansas Tech this year, and we want to do the same thing next year and try and hit as many stadiums in the state as we can that makes sense. And kind of the way we do it is we try to kind of meet an opponent from that area. And so this next year we want to go kind of, I guess, northeast and, see what's up there, whether it's Harding or whether it's Arkansas State or something like that. Lyon College, I know, is up there as well.
Yeah,
so
new stadium there too.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah. And we want to do something to just give our guys a memorable experience and give them, an experience where if they don't go play college football, they can look back and say that they've played in these places.
Well, the cool thing too, I thought, not only playing in the college stadium was because of how our schedule and our school start date, we didn't go to school this past Monday, and so our kids just got to kind of treat it as if it was a college game. I spent a little time at Henderson State, and so part of that is like you leave 2 days before you actually play, and so it kind of was like that here. We had the media day, and then we were able to get on a bus and kind of drive up to Russellville and to see some of those kids. I mean, some of those kids, like you said, have never seen a college locker room. It's very different than a high school locker room, especially even a visitor locker room that maybe our kids are used to. And so, man, just to see them, I really kind of their face kind of lit up when they saw it. Like, man, this is kind of big time. And it is, right? Yeah. Arkansas Tech has a beautiful campus, really nice facilities. Their hospitality was great, so I want to make sure we mention that. They were very accommodating. And so, our junior high team rolled out first. I think the biggest takeaway that I got just being the head coach and assessing the film is we've got a lot of guys who can play. And I know we talked about that in the first show, but you don't know what you have until you see it. And so we've got the stats pulled up here. I think sometimes the score and the stats, and we'll talk about it, I know with our senior high game, sometimes like the score doesn't always indicate the game. We also were very strategic in what we wanted to do as from a personnel standpoint. And so, like, I know Brock only threw the ball 2 times. Well, he only played probably 7 plays, but that was by design. But, I mean, Brock was 2 for 2. He had 51 yards to the air, a touchdown. Later in the scrimmage, our 7th grade quarterback, Logan Benton, came in the game. He went 4 for 6 for 129 yards. And 2 touchdowns, and that's a 7th grader. Okay, so he looked really good. Rome DeLoach, we talked about him being that impact player. He had limited snaps by design, so he only had 3 carries for 34 yards, but a touchdown. But one of those runs he had a really nice spin move and kind of, I mean, he just was very fluid on that one play, so. Man, I thought our offensive line play was really good. Our quarterbacks were 2 for 2, 1 for 2, 4 for 6. And so, obviously, they had some good the quarterbacks had good time to throw the ball, which tells us that indicates that the O-line were doing their job up front and pass protection.
Yeah, and I'm just going to add something to that. Me coaching Q's, one thing that we really stress is – obviously, be accurate with the football.
Yep.
Completions are a good thing.
Yep.
We're okay with throwing check downs. We're not trying to necessarily score touchdowns on every play or throw the big ball on every play. I mean, we're fine with throwing check downs. If you're unsure, get it to somebody in space and let them rock. And hearing the entire quarterback staff, I guess, that's completion percentage of 70% all combined. So I know from my perspective, I'm stoked about that because if you complete 70% of your passes, you're going to win a lot of football games.
That's right. And then, receiving-wise, what I was impressed with is we really got the ball into a lot of guys' hands. We I'm looking at the stats here. We had 7 guys with catches. Mm-hmm. And so Connor Wake had a good game. Andrew Harden, Will Daly, Ryan Schulte had a nice reception for 70 yards. And so, again, I was very impressed. Man, it was hot. And I told the guys while we were getting warmed up, I said, hey, we're not the only guys playing right now. And so, like, don't feel sorry for yourself, right? And if you came to the game, you kind of saw the shirts that the coaching staff was wearing, and part of that message tied into those shirts we were wearing. If you weren't at the game, all the coaches had a shirt on that said, "Nobody cares, work harder," and that can mean a lot of things. And so what I did is I told the guys, like, nobody cares it's hot, nobody, right? Your opponent, they're playing in the same heat you are. People in our conference who were playing that night, they're playing in the same heat. Nobody cares. All I care about is I just want you to work hard. I want you to execute. I want you to go out there and put a product on the field that we would be proud of, and we were.
Yeah.
I thought, of course, there's things to work on. We got those guys in film yesterday, and sometimes, like you said it best, we're not in there watching a highlight tape, right? We're in there watching the raw film, and so there were some coaching points. But all in all, it was a good scrimmage. I think this is impressive. Every guy on the roster played.
And that's for both high school and junior high.
Both teams. And it wasn't like, hey, going for this last play, there's 6.2 seconds on the clock. I know every player got valuable minutes. And so, man, that's just big because, like, they just got game experience. They did. They needed reps. All of our guys, 7-12, need reps, right? They all do. And so, man, I was very pleased with the junior high. I'm excited. We have a big game next Thursday. I don't know if our listeners have seen the schedule. I'm excited for that one, and we'll kind of get into that at the end of the show. But, man, if you have any thoughts on junior high, I'd love to hear them. And then I kind of want to hear what you thought of our senior high scrimmage.
Yeah, absolutely. I think from the perspective of the junior high, I know if you were there, you might have been like, what is happening in terms of how quickly the game went by and how we were subbing and things like that. We had pre-written out exactly how it was going to look and who was going to go in on what play and who was going to play a certain amount of drives and who was going to come out after whatever. We had it all planned, and so there were certain times where I think on our first drive specifically, Rome DeLoach that we're talking about, he had a good run and got us like to the 20, and then we took him out and ended up doing something. It's like we didn't even hardly let him finish the drive.
Yeah.
And that was just based on what we had because our goal was to play I don't even want to say play everybody because that's not what the goal was. The goal was to get everybody reps or valuable reps. It wasn't even just to play everybody to check that box.
I think too, I don't mean to cut you off here, but I think the words like personnel, like we wanted to see what kind of personnel do we have when we put this guy with this guy and this guy, the combination of everything, right? Because injuries happen. We know that. It's a physical sport. And so what a great way, and I think that's the kind of the plan we had going in was let's shuffle this thing around and see what pieces fit together the best.
Yeah.
When our starting 11 can't go, right?
Yeah.
And so
yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And I was very, very encouraged by obviously with that 8th grade crew, that's 9th grade now, there's some new faces around. At the same time, there's a lot of returning faces coming off that conference championship from last year.
Yeah.
And so one thing that we wanted to see for sure was the growth that they've gone through over the last 9 months since we last played. At the same time, you sort of know what to expect from those guys. And so there were some in that 8th grade group that are maybe new, or the 7th and 8th grade group, I should say, that are maybe new or that played lower school football or elementary football last year, and so we were interested to see what that would look like.
Yeah.
And a lot of those guys really rose up, not afraid of contact and not afraid of backing down from an opponent or anything like that. So we were super encouraged by what we saw in that game, and now we kind of put that one behind us to an extent and move on to our first actual game. So the junior high ended up winning 38-6. And played really, really hard. I think that's another thing. All 47 guys played, and all 47 guys, when they were in, were, busting their butt and getting to the football on defense and playing through the whistle on offense. And it was just really encouraging to see from that perspective because all 47 guys on our junior high team, like, as we were grading and as we still continue to grade, it's like, man, we got a lot of guys who can play a little bit.
Absolutely.
And so it's really, really exciting. I think they have a really bright future, not only this year, but beyond this year.
Yeah.
So excited to see what that looks like as we continue to go. And you want to talk about varsity before we dive into this next week?
Yeah.
Okay.
You need the stats.
Yeah, go ahead and pull them up.
Okay, they're right there, man.
All right, perfect. So to kind of dive into the varsity before we dive into what this next week looks like, so it was even different than the junior high game in the sense that our defense started the game and they were on for 12 plays regardless of what happened. So, for example, on the fourth play of the game, we picked off the ball. Judah Jones made a really good play on their tackle, ended up getting around, forced the QB to roll out. Jacob Dunn comes around the edge, smokes the Q. He kind of floated the ball a little bit, and Canton Hatcher made a diving interception. It was a great play, all around great effort, great play. And then the next play, the next play they get the ball back and carry on with their 12-play drive. And so it's a little bit of like, an emotional roller coaster because I'm like, yes, we picked it off. Okay, here's the ball back so you can carry on your drive.
Yeah.
But that's just the way it's set up. We knew we were going to get 12 plays on defense and then 12 plays on offense. And then those first 12 plays defensively, they had 2 turnovers. Miles Smith recovered a fumble.
Yep.
Once again, we had to give them the ball back to carry on their drive. And Canton Hatcher got that pick. But it was like, man, we were swarming to the ball.
Yep.
Like, we were just getting to the ball, and oftentimes just that effort can make up for a lot of mistakes, which we don't want to happen. Obviously, that's why we watch the film and we coach the guys and watch the film with the guys. But at the same time, great effort makes up. Mistakes are going to happen. Mistakes are going to happen, whether you coach it or whether it's just a crazy circumstance or situation. But the biggest thing is great effort makes up for some mistakes.
Yep.
I think it was Houston Nutt or somebody like that who at one point has said, if you mess up, you better mess up going 100 miles an hour.
Yep.
And that's kind of the mentality we went into it with. And like we talked about, we wanted to be the toughest team, which I think both junior high and high school did that. We wanted to be the hardest working team, and I think both did that. And we wanted to be the most competitive team. And just from watching the film and seeing the guys interact with one another, it didn't matter. It was a preseason game. Both teams wanted to win, and they wanted to play well, and they wanted to do right. And so to kind of dive into specifics, when we were offensively, when we got the ball back, Aaron Fielder was playing quarterback for us. He started the game there. He ended up going 6 for 8 through the air while he was in for 57 yards and a touchdown, which, once again, it's like that's a 75% completion percentage. I will take that 10 out of 10 days. And then in the scrimmage later, Andrew Mashburn played quarterback for the whole second half. He was 10 of 15 for 96 yards and a touchdown. That's a 67% completion percentage. That's incredible.
Yeah, we'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely. If we can get both of those guys to just deliver the ball and complete passes, then that's what we want to do. And then Levi Sanders ran the ball 8 times for 58 yards. We didn't have any scores on the ground, but it was just an interesting setup for the scrimmage. We were rotating guys like crazy. We ended up scoring 2 times through the air. Andrew Mashburn threw another score to Josh Eves, and Aaron Fielder threw his to Austin Herring. We pulled a bunch of guys out after the first drive. We pulled 7 guys out after the first drive of offense and defense because we treated it a little bit like an NFL preseason game. Like, we want those guys to get reps. At the same time, when we are satisfied to an extent with what we've seen, we know those guys are going to make plays for us in the season. There's no reason to risk anything. And so we played a lot of guys who, for whatever reason, maybe they're in different positions, maybe they're new to the team, maybe it's their first time playing football, whatever. Like, those are the reps that we wanted to get for those guys. Or if there was just something that we wanted to improve them on or play a different position, whatever. Like, it was encouraging to see that. I thought Grant Newsom, he caught the ball 5 times, and we were super impressed with him and excited to see what he was able to do. And he's quick.
Yeah,
he can move a little bit. And I thought our offensive line, when we were with that first group, you can can say when we were with the first group, but we ran for 107 yards and a half, and we passed the ball for 153 yards and a half. So we had 260 yards of offense in one half of play. Obviously that's just a half, but times 260 is 520. And if you can accomplish something like that in a high school football game and come out with over 500 yards, that's impressive and a great job by Coach Bass.
It's usually a good indicator.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we average 500 yards a game, I would say right now we'd be pretty happy with our record.
Yeah.
If it was to check out that way. So.
Absolutely. And so if you're on pace to get 520 yards, that's a really, really good start for the season, because normally defense is kind of the first thing that catches a little bit, and offense comes as the season goes on. So starting, on pace for 520, we had 260 yards in the half, is really, really encouraging to see.
Absolutely.
We also had Shep Garrison, who ran the ball 4 times for 20 yards, which is an average of 5 yards a carry. Andrew Mashburn ran the ball for an average of 8.3 yards per carry. He had 3 carries for 25 yards. Austin Herring had 1 for 4, and then Levi Sanders had 8 for 58, and that's an average of 7.3 yards per rush. So that's a tribute and a testament to these guys. At the same time, it says a lot about our offensive line group that we had, and we rotated like crazy up front. Yeah, and that was really encouraging to see. It was playing guys who have mainly practiced at guard, working them at tackle some against somebody else, and we even took a guard and worked them at center some, which we've done that in practice as well, but you never know what you're going to get in a live game setting like that. So we mixed and matched, and Coach did a great job of putting together the group that allowed us to rush for 107 and had incredible pass protection as well. In that one half.
Yeah, it was a little chaotic. I'm not gonna lie. The headsets were going 90 for nothing, but again, we had a plan. We wanted to stick to the plan. We wanted to stick to the personnel changes that we wanted to see, the mix match, if you will. I thought the offensive line played really well. Of course, there's always things to work on, and the good thing is after staying up, when we got back to the office and we watched the film, I think the common theme, and correct me if I'm wrong, among the coaching staff was we have things to fix, but the big thing was they're fixable.
Yeah.
Right? Some of them were small things that are just like a technique issue. Some were like, when we're in a game planning week and we have film and we're scouting, like we'll be able to fix those things just based off of the scouting report. And so I think that was an encouraging thing, is the things we need to work on are very fixable.
Yeah.
Very fixable.
Yeah, and this is one of you just mentioned it, and I'll point that out as well. This was something that we go into the game not having any film on them.
None.
Not knowing even hardly what they were going to run. It's almost like a go out there and play hard type of situation. Yep. When you do these benefit games, which that's how everybody is in a benefit game. That's not me making an excuse. You just never know what you were going to get. Like, they ran a completely different – they were a spread team last year, and they came out with every single body in the backfield.
Yeah.
And so we had to adjust. And so it was a lot of tweaking alignment issues and stuff defensively, because that's not necessarily what we expected them to do. But we flew to the football. We caused turnovers. Another one in the red zone, I may have mentioned it on the other coaches show that we did. I said we're not even going to punt. I don't even want to work on punt in a scrimmage and take away actual reps. And so if it was 4th down, we went for it. And one time we did it, I think, on our own 18 or something like that, and we ended up not getting it, and they got the ball, and our defense rose to the occasion and got a stop. And that was actually Jackson Van Hooser got an interception inside the 5 and made a great play on it, and we all went nuts. It was awesome. That's the thing. That's what we wanted this scrimmage to be about, was we know for the most part what we're going to get from, a select 6 or 7 guys. And it was man, somebody else rise up. Somebody else be the guy that makes the play.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of that happening, which was really exciting to see.
Yeah, I thought, talking defensively, D-line play was pretty good. I thought our ends, Judah and Connor, played really well. I thought our linebackers did a good job of coming downhill, reading, and King and Brady had a few plays defensively that we just thought, man, that was good. You know what I mean? So Brady looked good. Of course, Dunn. Dunn's just a great leader for us vocally, not just defensively but as a team. But he looked really good. Levi had some good plays, and so again, I was very pleased with how the game went. Again, you might look at the score 13-6, but I think if you were at the game, I think when you take that, you take into consideration what we were trying to do, and really, again, I don't even know why. I wasn't really worried about the score.
No, I
wouldn't
either.
I mean, it's like I just want to make sure we're doing what we need to do. We're taking care of business. What we, and we did that. I think the goals we set as a staff, we met those. And all in all, it was a great scrimmage. And I'll say this: like, this is so big when you're at a school our size. We came out healthy.
Yeah.
I mean, we scrimmaged Monday, gave the guys the day off the next day, but when we got back in here Wednesday, like, everybody was here.
Yep.
Everybody was feeling good, probably sore, probably a little dehydrated, but for the most part, we're healthy, and that's what we have to have.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the only issue that we're dealing with right now is actually an injury that was caused in another sport.
Yeah,
and
summer.
that's Brody over the summer, and hopefully he'll be back pretty quick. And he's one that, like, you add him to the mix, and that changes things as well, offensively and defensively. Brody Babcock is going to be a special player when he finishes up his healing here shortly. But yeah, Hutch Fenton played defensive tackle and played linebacker some, and he was our leading tackler on the day. He had 5 tackles. And one thing that I really like to see as the defensive play caller, and I know you will as well, we had 3.5 sacks, and that's something that, 1st and 10 is that's where everybody starts. It's manageable. If you can get somebody in a 2nd and 16, that changes their plan completely.
Correct.
And that's what we want to do, is we want to kind of make people play off their back foot a little bit. Jacob Dunn had a half sack. Brady Williams had a half sack. Hutch had a sack. Judah Jones had a sack. And Shep Garrison had a half sack as well. So we were flying to the football. We were getting, reaching our mark where we wanted to be and causing issues. We caused 3 turnovers in a half of football. So, same thinking. Obviously, we only got 3, but you're on pace to get 6 in a football game at that point, and that's pretty special.
Absolutely.
So I think this group is one that, as the head coach, this group is one that this is my first group that I've had all the way through high school. So we had them in 10th, we had them in 11th, and now we have them in 12th. And so it's a group that is special to me. It's a group that is a special group in general. They have all the potential in the world. And as we continue to overcome, I don't even want to say mental hurdles as much as it is just the past, that we're trying to get over, and say, we want to embrace the brand of being the toughest, the hardest working, the most competitive. Who cares about the past? Remember the past, but grow from it rather than hold on to it. And that's what I think we have done. This group has a ton of potential. Now, if we can stay healthy and they continue on, the senior class continues on with the great leadership that they have this summer, we've got a chance to make some noise.
Yep,
and I'm excited about that. I'm excited that we were able to go 2-0 on the day, because you in these preseason games, the score is irrelevant. Like, the score is so far from the top of my mind. I'm like, we want to accomplish these things, and we get these done. Who cares what the score is? At the same time, it's nice to end the day 2-0.
Sure.
And you always want to win. Like I said,
Absolutely.
there's a scoreboard for a reason.
Yep.
You always want to win. And we had a great experience at Arkansas Tech. And now we move on, to the real deal, to the next thing. So what does that look like?
Well, before we move on, I think I want to shout out JC Westside for agreeing to come meet us there at Arkansas Tech. Had a chance, as you did as well, talk to their head coach. Just a young guy that's truly putting his head down and going to work. And so they were great to work with, great to scrimmage. And so we just want to shout those guys out. And so, again, that kind of wraps up the benefit game. And now it kind of feels like the season's here for real. And it is, right? And so you guys listening, if you don't know our senior high schedule, we're actually technically on a bye next week. Yes, kind of.
Yeah, we start our season with a bye. It's kind of weird the way the schedule worked out. So our bye is actually week 0, and then we play 1 through 10.
Yeah. So we probably have 2 weeks with those guys, but I kind of want you to talk about the game coming up Thursday. And the reason why is because you went here, you know about that school, you know the rich rivalry that there is, both schools being right here on Highway 10. I'm excited, man, as a new guy. I had somebody tell me I think they were joking with me. I don't really know. They said, listen, if you come in and lose that game, they'll talk bad about you at the gas station, right? They'll talk bad about you at church. And so, man, I'm going to let you kind of preview it, and then I'll kind of give my thoughts, and we'll kind of be on our way.
Cool, yeah. Playing Episcopal has always been a fun thing for our guys. A lot of our guys know their guys.
Yeah.
A lot of their guys know our guys. There's pre-existing relationships there outside of sport. And so it's always fun. Their coach, Coach Fortner, he really does a great job.
Yeah.
He's a good dude. I enjoy him, and have enjoyed getting to know him over the last few years, being in this role, kind of at the same time as him. So it's been something that has been a lot of fun. But it's an intense game.
Yeah.
It's an intense game. It's something that, because of all those, circumstances I just mentioned, you don't want to lose that game.
That's right.
It's a big game. Their junior high team that will play this Thursday. So our junior high white team will actually play the first game, and our junior high red team will play the second game. And so that'll start. We'll have 2 games on Thursday night. It'll be something really, really special. It'll be fun. It's actually at their place, and then in a few weeks we'll play them in high school here at our place. But that's the battle for the Cantrell Cup, man.
That's a big night for us. Wink, wink.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
On the 17th.
Absolutely. No, it's a big deal, and it's something that their junior high team this year is going to be really, really talented.
Yeah.
And they may be one of the better teams that we play all year.
Yeah.
And so to have them week 1 at their place is going to be a lot of fun, I think, because we have talent as well. And so I think it should be a really good, a good clean football game. And they always, it's always fun going down there and playing there. And like he said, our high school is off this week, so that is kind of the focus. As we go into this week is to keep our guys healthy. High school wise, keep working on improving in endo periods or whatever we're doing at practice, and getting our mind right for that junior high only week in terms of games against Episcopal. So we're super excited about that. It means a lot. It means a lot.
Yeah, I'm excited. I got the guys in film yesterday, and I said, hey, we got a big one. And we all need to be doing our part, right? I told those guys, you need to do your 1/11th. This coaching staff will do our part and ensure that we're ready and prepared and done all we can to get our guys prepared. So
yeah,
I'm excited. And that game, like you said, there'll be 2 games that Thursday. The first one will be at 5:30. The second one will be at 7:00.
That's right. And you'll kind of there's not now we've taken that benefit game film, we've graded it, and now we see, we've split the 2 teams, or we split the team into 2, I should say, for junior high. So it'll be much more like what our season will look like, rather than just all be one big team together. I'm excited to see what both of those teams are able to do this week. So I would definitely do what you can to be in attendance.
Absolutely.
Thursday night. It'll be a fun one, a fun way. I mean, it's the first game of the season, so that in itself is awesome.
Yep.
The fact that it's against a pretty big rival, just makes it even more fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, you got anything else to add before we jump off here?
I think I'm good, man. We just appreciate all you guys that listen in and check in on us. We're just 2 guys that get up here and really just like to hear ourselves talk, but really we just want to showcase our kids and get you guys, the listeners, and the people of Baptist Prep just excited about what we're trying to do. And so we appreciate all those that support the Baptist Prep Eagles.
Yeah, we want to build a championship program here. That's the goal. It's always been the goal, and it will happen as we continue to improve. And part of that is doing stuff like this where we can brag on our kids and the guys who have worked so hard, and I think they deserve it. They've put in a lot of time. And the more we can talk about them and the more we can kind of brag on them and shout them out for the work that they've done and the successes that they have, that's really what we want to do. At the end of the day, it's for them, it's for the kids, and so Grandma can know what's going on with the players. But no,
and my parents.
And they're tuning in always. No, I love it. Well, yeah, I think we'll wrap it up there. Make sure to be in attendance Thursday, August 28th at 5:30 and 7 o'clock. We'll be down at Episcopal.
Yep.
It'll be a fun night and good football as well.
Absolutely.
It should be a really, really good game. Both of those games should be really, really a lot of fun. So we will see you there, and we'll be back to talk about that after it happens, and then we'll be into a high school game week as well. So ready or not, here it comes.
Here we go, man.
So let's rock and roll.
Hey, go Eagles.
Absolutely, go Eagles.
Thanks for listening to the Baptist Prep Sports Network. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. In the meantime, connect with Baptist Prep on social media at Baptist Prep or online at www.baptistprep.org. Until next time, go Eagles!